Maintaining mobility is super important for us wheelchair users, as it allows us to essentially make sure our body is prepared for whatever life has to throw at us. And that's why in today's video, I'm going to be showing you my morning mobility routine, and it starts where my day starts, in my bed. Okay, let's picture the scene. I've just woken up in the morning, I've swung my legs around out of bed, and I'm sat on the edge here, ready to transfer. But before I transfer into my wheelchair, I want to stretch my hip flexors out. The reason for that is because I'm going to be sat in my wheelchair all day, and my hips are going to be, imagine this is my leg and this is my back, my hips are going to be in a flex position. And when I'm sleeping overnight, what happens is my knees tend to come up, and they're also in a flex position all night long. So all day and all night, my hips are flexed. So I want to open them up, extend them, and get some flexibility in that hip joint. That's going to help things flowing through down to my lower body nicely. So to do that, before I even sit up, I wouldn't normally be sat up at this point, I'd be laying back, and that opens up the hips. First of all, the leg starts to spasm, and then as they relax, I can lie down a little bit more, and it opens up that hip joint. The reason I do this first is because I'd have to transfer back in and out, but also it's just a way just to wake up nicely. So start to stir, swing my legs out, and I wake up in this position. And as I'm coming to, it may take 1 minute, it may take 5 minutes, sometimes even longer if it's a Sunday morning. But I just like to open up those hips, stretch out those hip flexors, and get mobility within this area. I'm not moving my hips at any point during the day because I can't walk, can't stand up, all that. But I still need as much mobility in there as possible because it helps everything passing down to my legs flow nice and easily. Good, so once I've done that, as I said, maybe for a minute, maybe 5 minutes, depending on how I'm feeling that day, I get back into my wheelchair when my legs stop spasming. Oh, that was a good one, didn't have any brakes on. And then I move on to the next bit of our morning mobility routine. So the next part of my morning mobility routine brings me here to the fridge, because this exercise is actually not an exercise. It's making sure that I stay hydrated. See, hydration is super important, if I can get this out, to our mobility. It helps to keep things lubricated and our joints lubricated. And it's always important to make sure we're hydrated. So at this point, I always have a bit of drink, the rest I'll have later. And I've already got that prepared in the fridge from the night before. And I move then on to doing my spinal mobility stuff. So this is to help mobilize my neck and the rest of my spine. And I do this usually at the fridge because, again, I'm associating one thing with another. And nice and simply, the first exercise here is mobilizing, looking down, looking up, and going back and forth between the two. Nice, gentle movements. And I do roughly maybe 15 to 30 seconds going up and down. Once I've done that, I then go into rotating side to side. We're taking our neck and then the rest of our spine through its 4 ranges of motion. And then on the last one, the fourth one, is lateral flexion. One ear to one shoulder and one ear to the other shoulder. Again, about 15, 30 seconds, maybe even a minute if I just need a little bit longer of just mobilizing that neck. We go flexion, extension, rotation, and lateral flexion. Once I do that, I move into the rest of our spine, which is, again, same movements, but we're going down the rest of the vertebrae. So we do some extension through the spine, and then some flexion down. I like to say curling over like a prawn, extending like a high jumper, and going back and forth between the two here. Then we want to do rotation with the spines. We're going round to one side, round to the other, and back and forth between the two. And then going into lateral flexion again. That's where we bend down to one side and bend down to the other. And again, 30 seconds roughly on each one of these movements. And the reason I'm doing these spinal movements is because I'm locked in the wheelchair all day long and there's not much movement. So to be able to get that flow in, I'm taking the spine through the ranges of motion it's designed to. When you do things the muscles are designed to, they're going to be a lot more healthy and be a lot happier for it. Now our body is a little bit more mobile and a bit more warmed up, we can move on to doing some stretches. Let's go. So I want to take a moment here and explain exactly why we're doing this at this precise point every single day. I don't do it after I have breakfast. I don't just do it at some point in the morning. I always make sure I do it as soon as I wake up. And the reason for that is because I'm associating waking up with doing my morning mobility routine. For example, you may already be doing something like this. For me, every time I go to bed, I always make sure I clean my teeth beforehand. Not because I'm relying on an alarm or something in my calendar or motivation as such, I just automatically associate cleaning my teeth with going to bed. So therefore, I'm doing it without even thinking about it. And that's because us humans are really, really good at associating one thing with another thing. Think of an annoying song you can't get out of your head, or your grandma's cooking. It always brings you back to some place. And we can use that to our advantage with our morning mobility routine. If I wait until I have breakfast or get dressed or anything like that, then it becomes a problem because my mind starts to wander and I think about my day and what else is going to happen, and then I forget to do it. So doing it automatically at a certain point every day is going to help me be consistent with the routine that I need to do. And consistency is super important because that is where we get results. It's more important to be consistent than it is to be perfect. With that out of the way, let's get on with the next one. Okay, so now you join me at this door frame. Choose a door frame that you prefer the best for this, but any door frame will do. So what you want to do is roll up to this the best you can and get sort of your shoulder in line or slightly in front of the door frame. Then from there, we're going to take one arm up here and we're going to put ourselves in a stretch position for the chest and also a little bit on the front deltoid there as well. From there, we're going to rotate around to the other side and you'll soon feel a stretch across here. If not, just move yourself a little bit further forwards and repeat. And this, you'll soon find the point where you get that stretch in there to really open up that chest. That is going to help us to make sure our shoulders are getting some good mobility in because the chest helps the shoulder move. Let me show you on the other side as well. As we come into it here and stretch there, looking over to the other side, feeling that stretch in the chest. This is one of my favorite stretches to do as a wheelchair user because it really opens up that chest, helps improve our posture, helps improve our shoulder positioning, which overall helps us to protect our shoulders from day-to-day life as a wheelchair user. Let's move on to our next stretch now. Okay, so we're back here at the bed now, and we're going to be using this as a bit of a support structure for our next stretch, which is stretching our lats, the big muscles on the back. I like to lean on here and reach over to one side, really getting a good stretch down sort of the back of the armpit area. And this big muscle at the back, the latissimus dorsi, is responsible for lots of things. And probably one of the most important things for us is that it helps to move the spine. So it's really important for our posture, but it also connects to our shoulders and do all sorts of movements for us. So once we've done on one side, we want to stretch over to the other side and get a really good mobility in there, at least the best that we can do. I like to do maybe 30 seconds on one side, switching over and going back and forth between the two, 30 seconds, maybe 2 or 3 on each side until I feel like I've done a good job there with the stretching. Okay, the lat's been stretched. Let's do one more exercise here to finish our morning mobility routine. Okay, so for this last stretch here, we're going to be working on a muscle that you've probably heard of, but maybe never even stretched before. And that's our rotator cuff muscles. These are tiny little muscles that rotate our shoulder, and the reason you probably heard of it is that you may have injured it or heard of somebody else injuring it, and it can be a real problem for us wheelchair users. But that can be prevented with some strengthening exercises and some stretching too. So this is one part of the equation to help you to maintain good, healthy shoulders. So to do this stretch, what I like to do is give yourself a thumbs up if you can. Don't worry if you can't, just pretend you are. Have your elbow up high and then rotate that arm backwards the best you can. I'm going to rotate to the side so I can show you it from here as well. So thumb up, or at least if you can, and then rotate that shoulder backwards, almost like you're about to throw a ball. When you get it right, you'll feel a deep stretch within that shoulder joint. Now, I do like to do both arms at the same time because I have enough balance to do so, but you could do one arm and then the other arm, but rotate it all the way back and then rotate it all the way around to the other side. So going back and forth between the two. Now for this one, sometimes I like to just hold it in position, and sometimes I like to just go back and forth between the two. It's really up to you. For me, I like to just do this by feel. Some days my rotator cuffs feel like they need more of a stretch, sometimes less. I just like to go based on how they generally feel. So that is my morning mobility routine. I hope you did enjoy it. And if you want to see a longer version where I go into much more detail and do the routine in real time, then I've made an exclusive video just for channel members, which you can check out by clicking down below. There's a join button next to the subscribe one. You can click that and become a channel member, watch that video, but also help to support the creation of more videos just like this one. But if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, I'm always here to help you down in the comment section down below. So reach out, let me know what you think, and let's get talking. Thanks again for watching. I hope you did enjoy it, and I will see you next time. Goodbye. Are you ready to start your fitness journey? Then sign up now at adapttoperform.co.uk and get access to hundreds of workouts specifically for us wheelchair users.